Today's hearing for FBI nominee Kash Patel, Senator Josh Hawley raised questions about the Bureau under the Biden administration and the targeting of people of faith.
Do you think that it's appropriate for the FBI to single out and target people of faith in order to discourage the exercise of their First Amendment rights?
There can never be a targeting by law enforcement just based on their people's faiths.
And yet, under this last administration, the FBI and DOJ together brought numerous prosecutions under the FACE Act for nonviolent protests. President Trump has recently pardoned some of these folks. Meanwhile, how many churches that were firebombed or pregnancy care centers that were firebombed, how many of them were protected by the last administration? Just about zero. It is an unbelievable instance of targeting. Mr. Patel, will you end this targeting? If you get to the FBI, if you are confirmed, will you end it? And will you make clear to all agency personnel that there can be no targeting on the basis of religious belief, and this will never happen again in the United States of America, at least not under your watch?
Senator, if confirmed, there will be no such targeting if I'm confirmed as FBI director, and the resources of the FBI.
Why LA women aren't going.
Confirmed as FBI director, and the.
Well, as the Trump administration moves forward, accountability for the last administration is important. And I had the opportunity to speak with 3 pro-life protesters who were pardoned by President Trump after being convicted by Joe Biden's DOJ. You went to a pro-life facility to engage in activism, peaceful activism, and then the FBI calls.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us what happened with the FBI.
I had no idea. As a matter of fact, my husband said, "It's for you, it's the FBI," and I was just waking up. And so when I got on the phone, I said, "Oh, okay, who's pranking me?" And he got very stern, and he said, "This is not a prank."
Wow. And this all was precipitated by 2020. You go to DC, and I've watched this hour and 32-minute video at this abortion clinic, and I heard Hail Mary and the Our Father and the singing, many hymns that we know, like Ave Maria.
Ave, Ave, Ave Maria, Ave, Ave Maria.
But the judge and the government insisted this was violent.
There were several things that were said to us. One was that this trial was not about abortion, which was sort of ridiculous because that's the reason that we were there, to stop abortions and to love the mothers and the children, but primarily to see if we could intervene and save the life of the babies. And then saving the life of the baby, you often save the life of the mother as well.
So while you're going through all of this, President Trump made mention of you.
The Biden DOJ got Paula Harlow, a 75-year-old woman in poor health, sentenced to 2 years in prison for singing. She was singing beautifully outside of a clinic. Paula is one of many peaceful pro-lifers who Joe Biden has rounded up, sometimes with SWAT teams, and thrown them in jail. Many people are in jail over this. This is just crazy. We're going to get that taken care of.
Were you shocked to hear the president and soon-to-be president mention you?
I know what clip he had seen, and the thing is, there's absolutely no violence. I have been in the pro-life movement for a long time. Mm-hmm. I have never, ever seen any violence on the part of pro-life people.
Your attorney said she is requesting that the court allow her the privilege of going to church. Were you shocked to hear a representative of the federal government say you should be unable to go to mass?
What I was surprised at is that this was really targeting my religion, my faith. Mm-hmm. Because if they had just given me an ankle monitor, I could go within 3 miles of my house.
Did they give you any reason for denying you the ankle monitor?
They just didn't want me to go to church.
Yeah, I mean, John, the lawyer said he'd never in his entire career seen a spouse offer to go to prison with his wife.
Well, take my place.
Take your place.
And I just thought, in prison, I don't know if she could survive that. And if she had to go, I wanted to be there.
My sister Jean had called from prison and said, "You can't come in here. You won't make it."
And then you were describing for me the way the shackles felt. What was that like?
It felt like razors on my ankles. And nobody told me to wear
socks or pants so that they wouldn't cut into my skin. It felt like my skin was being cut.
Did you ever ask yourself, why God?
No, we had a Bible study going, and a couple of the women joined, and they were so enthusiastic. They were so thankful. And one of them said, now I know why I wound up in prison, so that I could hear this Bible study.
Wow. You know, William, I want to talk a little bit about your time in prison. Could you share with me the condition of the prison?
Yeah, where I was in Bravo unit, it was actually a unit that had been condemned. We went over 2 weeks without toilet paper, and some of the guys mentioned that some of the men who were there with gender dysphoria wearing dresses, they could get mascara, lipstick, and perfume, but we couldn't even get toilet paper or basic needs, so there was a lot of neglect.
You also had a rather frightening incident. You
Yes.
busted your head open. I'll let you share this. Fractured your head, and your fellow inmate thought you were dead.
I was on a high steel top bunk of a bunk bed that's about 5.5 feet up, and was saying my prayers in bed, and I fell asleep, and I managed to roll over in my sleep and go right off the edge of the bed. And I was bleeding quite a bit. I was unconscious, but one of the guards even told me later, when they turned the lights on, it looked like a homicide scene. There was so much blood. But when I came back after 11 hours in the emergency room, and some of the Hispanic guys in my unit and others were seeing me, they were making the sign of the cross, and they were shocked because everyone had thought I had died.
Do you think God saved you for a reason?
God saved me. I believe so.
The literal name of the act, and I could not believe it when I read it in the Thomas More Society's advocacy for you and your colleagues, it's literally called the Ku Klux Klan Act. So this is a post-Civil War Reconstruction piece of legislation from the 19th century, never used by Obama's DOJ, never used by Clinton's DOJ, but somehow resurrected by Biden. It's intended to go after lynching in its original form, and they go after you?
Yeah, it was weaponization, like President Trump says, and here they're using this conspiracy law that they use on violent Ku Klux Klan member and racists to use against us when we're trying to save lives. It's like totally flipping reality.
You said the word weaponization.
Yeah.
That radical Catholic memo, traditional Catholics are a threat that somehow needs to be monitored. The memo was rescinded by the FBI director. But do you believe this attack is broader than the pro-life community? It's an attack on men and women of faith.
Yes, I believe it is.
I was appalled watching Garland. He was isolating us and targeting us because of our pro-life stance, and especially he was targeting Catholics. And he just went to Congress and lied.
Where were you when you learned about the pardon?
They should not have been prosecuted. Many of them are elderly people. This is a great honor to sign this.
Oh, I was sitting right next to Paulette, and you know, Trump says promises made, promises kept. We had no doubt that he wouldn't fulfill his promise.
So did you get a call or you found out on TV?
Yeah,
We found out on TV.
You found out on TV?
on TV.
As fast as I could with my concussion, I made it up the 3 flights of stairs into the TV room. And there, all the guys were watching Fox News, and they said, "You just got pardoned." And they're shaking my hands. 60 guys in the unit all start cheering and applauding. And I was like, this is just such a joyful experience. And many of the guys in there were full of joy,